Dear viewers, welcome back. Lorenzo here with a mission a day number 18. No long ponderous introductions today. All we're going to do is launch this rocket. It's relatively tiny, nothing we haven't seen before here, and it's going to launch this capsule with the docking port to rendezvous with our fresh space station and bring Kerbal back home, or whoever it is up there, I forgot his name. I think it's Kerbal, I think that's accurate. Also included is this simple satellite that will be brought in the ComSat 1 orbit, and I'm referring here to the mission from the mission controller, ComSat 1, a 158 by 163 kilometer orbit at a 25-degree inclination. Now our space station is more or less equatorial, so what's going to happen is this rocket is going to launch, establish orbit at around 160 kilometers, detach the satellite, and then the rocket will continue on to rendezvous with the station. Once that's done, the docked capsules will land, and after all of that is done, then we'll return to the satellite and fix that up. So without further ado, let's proceed to the launch pad, where things will work as usual. If nothing strange happens with this launch, then we proceed in fast forward with a funky music, but if something happens I will comment on that and we will not get the music. Bill Kerman is going to relieve Kerbal, and if all goes well, he might stay in the station. Now, what we do first is we go to the map view, where we have quite a few things in orbit already. We're going to target the mission 17, and as soon as we are up there in orbit, we're also going to give it a proper name. Now we're going to time warp until it is somewhat near us, a little bit before us, and then hopefully we can launch and end up in orbit near it. Now I put this in orbit at around 250 kilometers, well, turned out to be 265. This is so we have a little bit of space between the station and Kerbal, and of course also above it. This will become clear once we are doing the orbital maneuvering to rendezvous with it. I wanted to launch around here, but then I realized, well, we will be going in a lower orbit, so we will be needing to be a little bit behind it. So I'm going to launch now. Either way, it's a relatively small orbit, so we have all the time in the world to perform our orbital rendezvous. Note on the nav ball here, this pink marker, this is the target relative marker, and it's pointing towards the space station because we set it as a target. It's not relevant for now. Let's first proceed to the launch and hopefully see you in space. Bye bye. Wow, I just want to take a time out from the time acceleration to show you the intercept I made to 700 meters. That is great and everything, but this rocket, this massive spent stage, it's now in an orbit that comes within 700 meters of our space station. I am rather sure that literally anyone ever at NASA, ESA, any space agency would fire the person that planned that. So it's impressive and monumentally stupid. But that doesn't matter. This is Kerbal's space program and we love this kind of thing. So we're going to fast forward until that intercept happens, and then I'll be trying to actually make it happen. We will have a fair bit of catching up to do with the target, so we can probably leave the ascent stage on a slightly different trajectory. Here we go. Is this it? Debris. Oh no, that is something else. That's the ascent stage from yesterday. Look, we're already cluttering up space. I'm trying to see if I can see the station yet, and I probably should be able to, but I just can't find it. The sky is too large. So let's fast forward a little more until now we are really close. We should be able to see it now for sure. And there it is. It's only 8 kilometers away. And this is where we switch to target relative mode. We already, in fact, the game already did it. This is our speed relative to the target, and we are getting a pink marker. This is the prograde direction. This is now we are pointing in the direction of our relative speed towards or away from the target. Well, we're pointing towards the target, so we're moving towards it. Now that we're this close, we can sort of disregard orbital mechanics, as it were, and as long as we do our corrections quickly, we can just approach this as if it was flat space, where we accelerate and brake straight toward or away from the target. I say it's flat space as opposed to curved space around the planet. Flat space is simply referring to a space-time where there is no major gravity well just right next to you, like a planet here. So we're at 2 kilometers now at 100 meters per second, so that works out to about 15 seconds after I finish the sentence, and we are going to brake now. We have quite a powerful rocket, fortunately, and we have almost completely killed our relative velocity. It's now 32 meters per second. And as soon as I make this relative marker here with the large rocket, I can fire it. And as I said already, this is terrible practice. We are just going to litter local space. Oh, we're moving away from it now. We're moving away from it now. I have to turn around. I didn't turn the rocket around fast enough, so we passed the target, and now we are moving away from it. So that's the downside of having a big rocket like this. It turns slowly. So now I am in fact going to accelerate towards it, basically braking and speeding up again, but in this time relative to the target. We didn't bring a lot of control authority. We just have the one-man pod, which even for a rocket this large is not that much. So let's put some more speed down, and now we are heading towards the target again at 40 meters per second. Doing this at something like 5 meters per second is far more prudent, but of course that also takes a lot longer. So we are doing it the Kerbal way, doing it fast, doing it sloppy, and getting it done somehow. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn around again, and once we are close, we are going to come to a relative stop, detach the pod, and make that dock with the station. Sounds like a plan if you ask me. This does mean that our debris stage, which we are riding, will, as pretty much as the previous stage, be parked right next to the space station. So once we're on board the space station, we might use its thrusters. Okay, we're moving away from it. We're just going to decouple here real quick. This at least means that the spent stage is moving away from the station. I'm going to use RCS for a small burst away from that rocket stage. Right. So we're going to light the 4 small engines, and those activating the precision control mode, because this thing controls like a maniac. And that means we are now go to approach the target, and this time we're going to do it at a rather pedestrian 20 meters per second. Because why not? Because now we have a small craft that can turn around on a dime. The engines it has are tiny, so it will take a while to slow down again, which means we're going far too fast already. At least this thing whips around like it's crazy. So oh, this is also why I'm doing it horribly. I'm using the pink markers, but they point the direction. They don't give your pro or retrograde marker. This is actually pretty good, because otherwise we'd be smashing straight into it. No matter, use the wrong marker, happens to the best of pilots. I'm going to come to a relative halt now, using the actual retrograde marker. Come on, full throttle on these tiny engines. And we are stopped. Well, 1 meter per second. Counts as stopped if you ask me. So now we are going to point towards it and give it a little boost. "10 meters per second, why not?" Ooh, this is going far too fast. I brought RCS on this craft, but I don't think it will be necessary because the reaction wheel is just crazy powerful. We can flip it around like a coin. It will turn on a dime, as they say. Just slow down to a relative 5 meters per second. Oh, I'm suddenly jumping inside. 1 meter per second, and as you can see, we are right near the space station now. We come to a relative halt. And coming to a relative halt means nothing but occupying the exact same orbit as the station, which is basically what you want to do. So now I'm going to do a little trick. I'm going to orient this vessel towards the space station. I'm going to target its docking port, set that as a target, orient it exactly to it, lock the attitude using SES, and then I'm going to switch craft to this station. I'm going to select the docking port and say control from here. This means the nav ball is now controlled from that docking port. Then I'm going to set the target as that lander. Now the station turns a little bit more sluggish as the small ship, but no matter. Now I'm going to re-initialize the stability system and I will switch back to this craft. I do have to reset the target because that does get lost. And I'm going to control it from this docking port. Our relative speed is still 0. This does warrant a little bit of finesse, because if you take too long, your orbit shifts around the planet and it goes to shit. I'm going to apply a 0.5 meters per second forward thrust with the RCS system, which will bring us into dock, and if all goes well, this should do it. The game lets you dock if you approach at 0.5 meters per second or less, so we're going to go for 3 or 1 or 2 or 4. Anyway, not more than 5. So we're at 0.2 now, and we can try and use the translation, although our translation controls, our RCS ports are scattered on the ship, so we're going to just come in for a little bit of a crooked docking, but the game is lenient with this, and this will count as a proper docking. See, the clamps have magnetism. Don't forget to switch off your stability control or it will fight the docking clamps magnetism, which is counterproductive. So, Chatful and Bill, say hi to one another. We are going to take... Oh, look at that, it docked on the wrong side. We need to dock to this one. So, say hi and then say bye, because we are off again. I'm going to switch to this craft, and what we're going to do, we're going to target that port and we're going to fly to the other side of the spaceship. We are going to do this with small bursts of RCS. Here we go, a small burst. Now we're going to put a small burst in the opposite way. Time to turn again, turn this way. Apply another small burst of RCS for 0.8 meters per second. We can accelerate a little bit, we have slightly farther to go this time. Here we go. Maneuvering around the space station is really quite easy if you just take the time for it. You need to go with tenths of meters per second instead of with kilometers per second, and just make sure you're not doing anything strange. I'm going to, like this, I'm now going to crash into it. This is not something we need, of course. I'm going to apply a little bit more thrust this way until we are again facing the docking port. Now, if you don't exactly manage to line up, don't forget you can always control the other ship as well, and this can be of tremendous help. Because what I'm going to do now is basically what I did again, what I did before as well. Just going to face that docking port, block it, and then I'm going to control the station and make it face the docking port as well. This makes it really easy because then you can rotate both ships, and that makes it easy to dock. I don't know how else I can explain that. That should make sense. If that doesn't make sense, knock your head against a wall or something, because that makes sense, damn it. Controlling both is easier than controlling one. That makes sense. Tell me that makes sense. Only joking. Here we go. Jam it in there. Here we go, disabling the stability controls, and here we are docked again. And this time we have the craft that should be able to do the heat shield, because the heat shield is on the bottom of this craft here. Now we have the question of how much fuel we're going to take back to Kerbin, and that's not a lot. We're going to take only what's in this little tank because we don't need anything, and so that means that this whole tank can be transferred into the space station, where eventually it will be used to go to Vol. Isn't that wonderful? So, Bill gets to go out. No, but first Chatful gets to go out, and he can ride the lander. Because as soon as the heat shield is done, that will be ditched as well. And, oh, we're on the dark side. While I'm doing this EVA transfer, let me explain what's going to happen, because it's not straightforward. The mission we are currently undertaking, and let me actually activate that mission. Vostok 3. Select the mission. The mission is to bring 2 docked craft home to Kerbin together. Well, I made it so that one of the docked craft, namely this lander can, has the parachutes. The other craft that has just docked, the Mark 1 capsule there, that has the heat shield. So without one another they cannot land, and without one another they will probably... Ooh, he bumped his head and he's spinning out of control. Anyway, without one another they will have a horrible time, and oh, he's looking so sick. Poor chat man. Go on. Go on. Grab the hatch. Enter, enter, no. Oh, he's not having a nice time. He's not having the best time of his life. I don't know why, but he is having some difficulties getting back into his container that will bring him home. Anyway, they need each other to survive, and that's why only one of them is going. No, only one of them is going because the other one has to stay on the space station. So, go on. Grab it and board it. No. Alright, board it. There we go. Now, Bill has to get out of his capsule because he is going to stay in the space station. So, space, let that go. And Bill is a much more intrepid space traveler. He is perfectly happy to just stay in space forever. And I'm sure he will be able to get to his capsule without any problems. Come on then, Bill, get to your capsule without any troubles. Do it. Oh. Fortunately, there are not any solar panels we can crash, and he has boarded. Bill will stay on board. And now then comes the ceremonial moment to decouple the landing contraption. I can call it a contraption because, boy, it is a contraption. Decouple that. And now we have to make sure that we activate the right thrusters, because this, in my opinion, does not look like a spaceship. Oh, we don't have any choice about what thrusters to activate because we only have these, and we don't really care about a landing spot. We're just going to pass over the KSC there, so we're probably going to land somewhere else. Anyway, we're going to point retrograde. Oh, look at that. We're controlling it from the other capsule. Let's make sure to control it from this one. That means that now the nav ball is correct and we are actually pointing retrograde. Now we're coming in from a full orbit again. Last time 20 kilometers periapsis did the trick. We're in a slightly heavier vessel this time. So we're going to be a little bit more conservative and go for 25, 30. Well, 30 was great, so we're going to need a little bit more braking power probably because we are heavier and behind the same heat shield, so we're going to aim for 27. And we're going to hope that our fuel is going to make it, because these tiny engines are not really making much of a dent in the periapsis. They'll be fine. We have more than half remaining, and we really should rename this into something like Awesome Space Station, not just Mission 17. So here we go. Accelerate time a little bit. This is boring. Here we go. 100 kilometers. Right, on 28 kilometers. That should do it. Half depleted fuel tanks, and here this is basically the suicide stage. It decouples everything, leaving only the capsule and the parachute. That is reserved for later when we are through the burning part of re-entry. To keep our attitude, we have a RCS system with which only has thrusters here, so that's probably not going to work that well, and we have 2 command pods with their reaction wheels. It is really important that we maintain attitude, because otherwise wait, hide finished goal, yes. Right, I was just scared for a bit that the mission controller was going to be a bitch, but oh yes, look at that, we're in the atmosphere, and now the attitude becomes important, because if we burn up we die, and that means poor Kerbal doesn't make it, and we don't get our money, more importantly, and we need this money because it is a lot. Unfortunately, the stellar planning of mission control, me, has made it so that we're landing on the night side again, so that's not so great. What I am going to do here, maybe you can see it, is decouple the tank so the heat shield is exposed. And we want our heat shield exposed because we want it to shield us from the heat. Reaction wheels, are they operational? Yes, they are operational. Good. The ablative shield is at 250 points. We have no fuel. We're on a ballistic trajectory. We have a lot of electric charge, and we have some RCS propellant. So we can keep the ship pointed in a retrograde orientation so that the heat shield leads us into the burning inferno of re-entry. Now this is the largest craft I've tried to re-enter with this deadly re-entry plugin so far. So I am rather curious to see if this will even work. Kerbal is too, he looks positively sick. And let's have a look at the stellar orientation. We will probably not see the sun again before splashing down. Hopefully inside Kerbin's atmosphere we'll get a little bit of ambient light. But here up in space that's too much to ask for now. Right, so it won't be too long before we are going to bite some air. If we do get the money, we're going to get about 200,000, 195,000 for this, that puts us at 200,000, and we have that satellite. If we manage to put that in its specified orbit, we get 65,000 back. So we end up around 270,000 credits. Is similar to the amount we had before embarking on this spaceship adventure. Well, they're all spaceship adventures. Before embarking on this station adventure. But now we have a station as well, so we're flush with money and we have a station. I think I'm going to get mad at these ComSat contractors though, because they're annoying me to hell with their specific specifications, and I'm going to look elsewhere for missions. Specifically, my friend DJ Cheetah, he made some missions for Mission Controller, it's the plugin I'm using. I'm going to download them, have a look at them, and just going to incorporate them into the program without looking. If they give me too much money, great, I can do crazy missions. If not, then that will spark some creativity. Okay, talking aside, we are getting some re-entry heat here. Maintaining the stability systems to keep the heat shield pointed into it. We are ablating, and the heat shield is heating up to 450 degrees as of now, so nothing too bad. This pod is cooling down, so that's probably properly shielded. No, we got an explosion there. What happened? The radial parachute exploded due to overheating. Oh my god. No, no, no. We need this parachute. Can we angle the craft so that the parachute is not exposed as much? Yes. We need to angle the craft so the parachute isn't as exposed. Cool down. It is heating up. We need this parachute. If the other parachute explodes as well, we are screwed. Fortunately, we did have 2 of them. I'm going to angle the craft more to protect the parachute. The heat shield is ablating, but nothing too serious as of yet. We aren't slowing down so much yet either. We are very massive. everything is fine with me as long as this parachute stays safe. I'm going to angle the ship more in order to... Oh! It got into the heat stream for just a second. That shouldn't happen. We are slowing down. We are slowing down. Finally, we are slowing down. Our periapsis is decreasing. We're probably not going to bounce off into space. The heat shield, the electricity is running out, running the reaction wheels to keep us in this orientation, so that the parachute is shielded just a bit by these. Maybe these parts of the rockets are not having such a nice time, but the heat shield is taking most of the heat, as it should. The shield is now half ablated away, and the parachute is maintaining proper heating. We're not plummeting that far. We're continuing to streak through this part of the atmosphere. Man, this plugin is cool. What's happening is, because this is a rather massive craft, the air doesn't slow it down that much. There's good aerodynamics going on. And now the question is, will we slow down enough before the heat shield is gone? The heat shield is more than half gone now. We are slowing, but we're also getting into the thicker atmosphere all the time. So it is going to be exciting. We are cooling. The heat shield is cooling down a bit. So, and things are not terribly hot. So I think we should be fine. But it is also almost running out, and we're still moving at 1.5 kilometers per second. We are actually starting to gain altitude now again. A re-entry characteristic like this is something I have never seen in this game before. And now the underside of the ship is starting to get really hot. I'm trying to angle it back a little bit, but I'm going to have to keep an eye on the parachute, because we can't have that exploding, that's for sure. We're not going to have the parachute explode. The heat shield is almost gone. All I can do is hope that the parts in front will serve as an effective heat shield as well, because our guy is here in the back in the crew container, and the ablative shield is now gone. So is it heating up terribly? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We're still moving at 1 kilometer per second. The chute is only at 100 degrees now. This re-entry, man, with these ablative shields, that is amazing. We're heating up still a little bit. Nothing too crazy going on here. We're cooling down. We're cooling down. We should be fine. We should be fine now. This is crazy. Re-entries with deadly re-entry are amazing. Heat effects are now gone. We are going at less than 1 kilometer per second and descending rapidly into the atmosphere, where we can cool down. This is very exciting indeed. Are we going to get slight effects again? No, we got a tinge of heating effect, which have now been replaced with aerodynamic supersonic airstreams. A pity it didn't happen in the daytime. We would have cut a large swath over the sky, I imagine. Hey, look, we're very close to the Kerbal Space Center. So now I'm going to hit this suicide staging button. Well, it's not suicide anymore, I hope, but hopefully our man Chatful is comfortable with descending on the one slightly singed parachute. So here we go. Ditch everything. And no, not this one. We need to focus on this one. Gain focus on the debris there for a second, but of course this is not debris. This is the Chatful container. He is in here, and he is looking panicky as all. Well, insert something really panicky there. I don't know what's really panicky, but he sure is looking at 100 meters per second. Hopefully our chute deployment will go without hitch, because our backup chute here burns off due to a less than precision orientation during re-entry. Remember, he needs to survive because we love him, but also because we need this 195,000 credits. We don't want to get poor again. He did it, and furthermore that will serve to prove that our space program is capable of docking ships together that have parts that are of use to one another, because this guy would for sure not have made it without the heat shield of the other guy, and the other guy would have plummeted to death without this parachute, even though he did let the other one burn away. So now it's a waiting game. I'm going to disable the RCS. We don't have any RCS anymore anyway, and disable the stability system as well. Let it dangle. And here's the question, are we over land or over water? I don't know. Hey, look at that, we almost have a sunrise. Oh, we're over the coast. We're going to land on land, which is good news if you ask me, because that means he can go out and plant a flag commemorating this joyous occasion. That was me drinking a little bit of beer. And we are just waiting here until the parachute fully deploys. And then we can time warp until he lands. Alright. Time warp that down to the ground. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to show you how I put that satellite in a proper orbit. I will cut briefly to the end result, showing you if we did it or not. But I guess you don't really need to see a rehash of that. You saw how I cut out the time acceleration. You saw how I can do a satellite insertion burn. You don't really need to see me fiddle around with all those maneuver nodes. I am quite sure of that. So I'm going to put this down right side up. No, I'm not, because, well, there's not enough reaction wheels in it. And the electric charge ran out for the reaction wheels. So we did a re-entry here. Well, I dare say it barely succeeded, because the ablative heat shield ablated completely. And, ooh, look out, go sideways. Prometheus reference there. The ablative heat shield ablated completely, and then everything got really hot, but then we made it and everything cooled down again. We are going to name this flag hot re-entry. Cooking. Right on. EVA report from here. Half a science point, why not? Surface sample from here, another half a science point. We are sticklers for that science. See if we can get back into the pod for a science reclamation. No, we cannot. So we are going to recover the vessel, which is Chat Vol Kerman. He's a vessel. Congratulations with that promotion. Look at that. 2 experiments, 1 science point. Amazing. And we're going to recover the vessel itself, of course, because we need that capsule back for our things. Oh, it counts as debris, I think. Debris. No, does it not count as debris? Oh well, it's lost. I don't mind that. Right, so looking towards tomorrow. Oh shit balls. Can I not finish the mission anymore? Oh shit. Right, I'm just going to add that money in with a pro hack. I forgot to hit finish the mission in the mission controller. That is... Maybe I can finish, because all the pips are green. Maybe I can finish it when I switch to that mission. Where did we land? Where is our flag? Hot re-entry. Here it is. If we switch to this, perhaps we can still finish it through the plug-in. That would be nice. No, it's not docked anymore. Right, we're going to add that. This is a nice picture. We're going to add that money through some cheats, editing text files. Whoever thought a space program administration was that easy? Just editing the text files, editing the books, giving us more money. That's exactly what we're going to do. Right, so I'm going to fix up that satellite. I'll be back as soon as that's done. See you in a bit. Right on, here we are. We managed to do it. The probe had enough delta V, half its tank remaining. We are in the correct orbit, meaning we are going to finish the mission. 71,000 credits, and the 195,000 I'm going to hack edit back in for docking the craft and returning it safely to the surface. That went successfully, as you may recall. It happened 5 seconds ago, but I forgot to hit the cache in key in the plugin. That's all that happened. So what we can do tomorrow, we can send something to Juna, but as I said, that launch window is going to coincide with the Joule launch window, and you want to send something to Joule. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to design the Joule rocket, see how much that would cost. If we can afford it and have some cash left over, I'm going to add a module to the research station, and simultaneously I'm going to trawl the internet to find new missions to put into the plugin, because, well, I suppose we're going to view these packages as different employers, and this one is not offering anything that's particularly interesting. Let's put it that way. Anyway, thanks for watching again. If you liked this, press like, subscribe, leave a comment, say hi, or point something out that I missed, whatever. Give me a tip, some criticism, or just high praise, whichever you feel is appropriate. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for watching. Good night.